Hey friends, before I get started, I'm going to kind of tell you the situation we're in right now. I hiked in today in between two severe thunderstorms. And as you can see, I kind of caught the first part of the second one. I'm a little wet and muddy. Not a big deal at all. But I just checked the weather and there's a third one coming in. So if I hop up and start grabbing cameras real quick, you'll know what happened. All right, let's get started. A friend of mine, Tim, on Facebook, a while back he started posting some pictures of a really cool stove. And it looked exactly like one of the stoves I had when I first started backpacking back in the day. You would not believe how many yards I had to cut in order to get this stove. So I started talking to him and I was telling him how much I love the stove. Is there any way I could buy it from him? And Tim, being the nice guy he is, says, no, let's don't do that. Let's work out a trade situation. So I had an extra cardboard oven and I decided to trade him for the stove, and he was very happy with the trade, and I'm more than ecstatic for what I got. What this is a handy camper's backpacking stove. Little history on it. There's 3 different makers of the stove. Unfortunately, they're all made in Japan, but they're originally made for hikers, backpacking, medical corps, outdoors, sporting events, and the military, which they didn't fly very good in the military, and I'll show you why here in a little bit. Really nice stove. I mean, this thing is in amazing condition. I'm so happy with it right now. Mine, the original container, came in a red and a yellow container, and so it's one of the other brands. And right now, offhand, I can't think of what brand it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop this little guy open and show you the contents of it before we go any further. Simple canister, and it's not very light. I mean, it's somewhat heavy, and when you see what the stove's made out of, you'll understand. It's very well constructed. So this first piece, well, I'm just going to pull all the pieces out, and I'll explain what they are. And explain how the stove works once I get everybody out of there. And this is the little guy right here. Now, I think the original cans were made of stainless. I'm not sure that you can boil water in them, but I'll have to research that, or somebody could tell me. That would be great. Okay, get that little guy out of the way. So let's go over all the parts and pieces I got down here, and I'll explain each one of them to you as we go along. So the first one is the stove itself. It's a very simple design. You got a fuel cell right here, as you can see your fuel cell. You have a little coil that goes around here, and of course the cork's in it, and there's a windscreen, and this windscreen comes off, but I've got it on right now. If we pull the cork off this little guy and not get any dirt on it, that blocks a little hole in there where the fuel comes out. And basically all that is there's a wick that comes through this coil, goes all the way down, and then both ends of it hang down inside of the stove, and they soak up the fuel. Here's your fuel spout, or where you fill the little guy up. And I think I got some in there left over from the last time I used the stove, so I think we'll be okay. Let's see. Now, we're going to have to put a little bit more fuel in there before we get started. But the cool thing on this is it's got a pressure release valve. It is right there. And right there, and that helps to keep the stove from exploding. And you'll see why once we fire the little guy up. It gets interesting real fast. All right, let's go over to these parts over here after we get that guy sealed. Come on now. Don't fight me. All right, I'm going to put you right there for now. Okay, we got the cork. And you put that in there after you use it, hopefully to hold the fuel in it. Here are the little legs. There's 3 legs. This right here is what you use to light it with. You dip it inside the stove, get some fuel on there, and start the stove up. This is a diffuser, which I don't use unless you have an aluminum pot, and that goes on the top of it. Now this little guy here is very important to have. This simply just cleans the hole out to make sure there's no debris in it. Okay, so let's go ahead and pour some fuel on this guy and get it started. Basically, this is Coleman Fuel. I have learned, do not use denatured alcohol in these things. They don't like it, and the results will end quite badly. So I just picked up one of those little flasks at Wally World, marked it with red tape so I don't actually drink it, because I've got another flask similar to this that has my snake bite medicine in it. That's another story. Alright, so without trying to spill this all over the place, because I do not have a funnel with me, I'm going to simply try to fill this little guy up, and we're not going to hopefully have no epic accidents. And we are leaking all over the place. There we go. Oh yeah, we're about half full. Not bad. Okay, we're going to get this little guy out of the way. As you can tell, we spilled quite a bit on the ground, so we're going to attempt to avoid that area. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead, for now, I'm going to dip this little guy in there and let it soak for a couple seconds. And it doesn't take very long. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put the legs on. And they've got little slots all the way around for the legs to go into. Like that, see? On each side of the stove. And I do believe that is soaked just long enough. So we're going to pull that, put that on the diffuser. And we're going to definitely put the cap on here. You can torque it down, but I don't recommend it. Finger tight's just great. Another thing I've learned since I've had these stoves back in the day, I like to shake it up and agitate the fluid. Let's get this crap out of the way. Alright. Now if you notice, on the deflector shield right here, I've got the back of it towards where the cap is, just in case. You don't want to have any accidents. Alright, we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and check this hole right here. And this has got a little bitty pin on the edge of it. And I'm just going to put it in the hole. There we go. Make sure he's cleaned out. And it is recommended to clean this hole every time before you use it. And if the flames start spitting and sputtering, it's a good idea to clean that out too. It means there's debris in your hole. Alright, so you can tell we got this little guy lit. And all we do now, we're going to take it down and we're going to hold it right on top of that coil. Now, it's only going to take a couple seconds for this sucker to heat up. Basically, we're heating up that coil, which is causing everything in there to vaporize. Blow this out, set it aside. You can see the stove has come to life and pretty darn self-sufficient. It actually sounds like a little freaking jet airplane taking off right here. A couple things. It is wind sensitive, and a strong wind will blow it out. Number two, every once in a while it'll spurt itself out. No big deal. Relight it. Number three, you want to make sure never to run it dry, because you don't want that wick inside to catch on fire. It'll burn the wick out, and then the stove will become useless because there's no way to fix that. Putting the stove out is really simple. You just grab the little guy, blow it out. You're going to take the cork, after dropping it in the dirt. We're going to shove the cork on the inside. It'll stop the fuel from coming out the top. We're going to relieve the pressure from the pressure valve right here. And the stove is officially out. Okay, a little heads up. This is very important, and I found this out the hard way when I used to use it backpacking. I would fill the stove completely up before my trip, which is a very, very bad idea. When it gets warm out, the fuel inside starts to expand. It'll leak out into your pack all over the place, into the canister. So I recommend, if you're going to use a stove, pour the fuel back in your fuel container right here, put it in the canister, and as a safety precaution, go ahead and put a Ziploc bag around it, because you do not want this stuff all over the place. The types of fuel it will burn, Coleman Fuel, that's it. I would stick with that. On the side of the can it says you can use gasoline. Do not use it. It's not a clean burning fuel. And definitely do not use denatured alcohol. It will end badly. Okay, this stove for me is a trip down memory lane like you wouldn't believe. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching this. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fire this thing back up, and I'm going to cook me some lunch, because I'm freaking hungry. Comments are more than welcome. And like always, friends, thanks for watching.